Hello everybody, Looking for Life here, bringing you guys a brand new deck profile. This time around it is the zombies. I'm sorry I haven't got around to doing a deck with this just yet. I wanted to get it out much closer to the release date of the deck and everything, but oh well. Now we get to do it with updated for the ban list and some of the new stuff. I love this deck so much. Zombies with the new support is really good as a rogue deck. I don't know if it's anything that'll really do well to like a regional or YCS or anything, but however, this deck has so much potential and I can't wait to see what Konami does with future zombie support, because the stuff we do have is really good and I like it a lot. So I could gush about this forever, but let's get on to the deck profile. First and foremost, we got triple Doom King Balderrock. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I've also heard it pronounced Balderrock, you know, like Bow, like Beelzebub or Bow, but I don't know. Anyways, Doom King Balderrock. He's a level 8 dark zombie, 2800 attack, 2k defense, and he has 3 very simple effects. During the standby phase, if there's a field spell in the field zones, doesn't matter if it's yours or your opponent's, you can summon him from your graveyard in defense position. And then also, if a zombie monster activates its effect, you can activate one of the following 2 effects in response. You can use each effect once per turn, and it's a hard once per named turn. So even if you have multiple Balderrocks out, you only get one of each effect once per turn. So you can use the first effect, which is banish one monster in the field or in the graveyard, or you can negate that monster's effect. You can do both, but you can't do both in response to the same effect. It's kind of like Red Eyes, oh, what's his name? The Lord of Red or whatever, you know, the Red Eyes ritual monster that can pop a monster spell, a monster or spell or trap every time that a card or effect is activated. Kind of like that. So basically the big thing is that it's only whenever a zombie monster activates its effect. And of course, if zombie world's out on the field, everybody's a zombie. So you can really troll your opponent and kind of just force negate a bunch of their stuff and make them play around this. Balderrock is a really obnoxious monster for a lot of decks to play around due to his insane attack power and defense. And of course, this constant recursion. If your opponent does not get rid of this thing and find a way to get it out of the graveyard, like with DD Crow or what is it called by the grave, then they are going to have a hell of a time dealing with this thing every single turn, because it's just that powerful. And of course, while having multiple isn't like the biggest deal because you can only use one effect per turn, it does really come in handy because even if your opponent kills one, the other can still use its effect. And of course, because of the level 8-ness, we get to use a bunch of cool rank 8s. Moving on, we got triple Mizuki. Kind of goes hand in hand. It's a zombie deck, it's triple Mizuki. Kind of need to. Next up, triple Uni Zombie, once per turn. Heck, this thing is stupid, okay? Just discard a zombie or any card from your hand, target a monster in the field, pump up its level by 1, send a zombie from your deck to the graveyard, pump up a monster by another level. Just free double loading into your graveyard. I love it. Really good. Makes all sorts of different synchro plays and everything, and helps load up your Xyz and link plays and everything as well. Moving on, I got a card in here that I haven't seen a lot of people test out, but I love abusing this thing because it's so stupid. Goblin Zombie. Okay, cue Goblin Slayer coming in. But anyways, so Goblin Zombie is a level 4 dark zombie, obviously. 1100 attack, 1050 defense. This card used to be used in a lot of zombie decks back in the days, but he's kind of fallen out of favor for some reason. Probably because his effect isn't too easy to trigger, but however, with the new support, you can do it pretty easily. The big thing is anytime this thing is sent from the field to the graveyard, you get to search out any zombie monster with a 1200 or less defense. You can even search itself, which is pretty silly. Right? Yeah, you can search itself. Cool. So, Goblin Zombie, and that's not once per turn. So if you can get a way to get him on the field multiple times a turn, you can just keep searching. And the big thing is because of the wording on the card, it doesn't miss timing if you use this thing for a Synchro, Xyz, or Link summon. Sorry, not Xyz, but you know, Synchro or a Link summon, or heck, Tribute summons too. So it does not miss the timing if you use it for Vampire Sucker or you use it for Synchro Fodder, which is insane. I love it. This thing is really obnoxious. It just gets you so much advantage. It does have another cool effect where if it does battle damage to your opponent, they send a top card of their deck to the graveyard, but it's not like anything particularly worth noting. Next up, we got Shiranui Solitaire. You tribute him, special summon any zombie tuner of 0 defense from your deck. That's literally just basically Unizombie. You tribute this dude to summon Unizombie from deck. There is another one you can summon, but you don't do it too often. It's mainly Unizombie, so that then you can get your deck rolling and just proceed to plus. It's really, really good. Next up, we got 2 Vampire Phrallan. This card is a hand trap, kind of, where once per turn, well, I don't even think it is once per turn, is it? Okay, yeah, it is only once per turn. Basically, once per turn, when a monster is battling or declares an attack, you can spell summon this card from your hand, and then once per battle, you can pay life points in multiples of 100 up to 3,000 to increase one of your zombie monster's attack and defense by that amount of life points paid. And then, of course, like all the new vampire support, if it kills a monster in battle, you can summon it to your defense, to your side of the field in defense position. That part isn't too worth mentioning, but however, the big thing obviously is, of course, the fact that you can summon this for free, just off of any attack whatsoever. And then secondly, it basically chum blocks. Oh, your opponent's gonna try and run over Sucker? Nope. It's gonna pump it up by 2k, so it attacks over anything. Granted, yes, this deck does not have easy ways of recouping that life points like pure vampires do, but however, it's still, you know, pretty handy. Next up, we got 2 Necroworld Banshee. And this card has 2 pretty darn good effects. The first of which, obviously, is while it's in the graveyard or on the field, you can banish it as a quick effect to activate Zombie World directly from your deck. Due to this, some people have opted to not play Terraforming at all and just play 3 of her. I'm not a big fan of that because she is easy to negate. She's much easier to negate than a Terraforming, so I don't really roll with that. But hey, if that's what you're up for, go ahead. And then while she's on the field, your Zombie World can't be destroyed by card effects, or I believe targeted too. Zombie World and the field spawn cannot be destroyed by card effects, also neither can target with card effects. Correct, cool. So yeah, protects your Zombie World and also gets it on the field too, which is pretty handy. Next up, got 2 Gozuki, Mizuki's younger brother. I'm not really as much of a fan of this card as I am with the others, but however, it does have some really interesting plays. The first big thing is that just once per turn, you can send any zombie from your deck to your graveyard, which is really handy. And then if it's sent to the field, from the field to the graveyard, I believe it's the same wording as Goblin Zombie, where it does not miss timing. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure Goblin Zombie says when, not if. Oh, it is if, so it is the same wording. So yeah, it does not miss timing. If you send this thing to the graveyard in any way whatsoever, you get to just banish another zombie, summon a zombie from your hand. Makes for some pretty good combos and everything. Really handy and all that fun stuff. Yeah. Next up, and for the last monster, we got 2 Glow Up Bloom. I was about to say bulb. So this card is really cool. So if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, or sorry, sent to the graveyard anywhere, not just from the field, you can banish it from your graveyard, add a level 5 or higher zombie from your deck to your hand. If Zombie World's in the field zone, you can summon that zombie directly from your deck instead, but regardless of which effect you activate, you cannot summon anything except for zombies during that turn. So really, really good effect. Just very, very obnoxious. You link it away for Link Karibo, and then you just automatically get a ball to rock on your field. Really, really good effect. Very, very powerful. And it's a tuner. Just something to mention. Next up, we got good old Zombie World at 3, kind of goes without saying. Making it to where nobody can tribute summon monsters except for zombies is really obnoxious. And then, of course, the big thing is everybody's a zombie in both players' graveyards and on the field. This has some devastating effects against certain decks. And, of course, obviously, the whole no tribute thing is really obnoxious for decks like True Kings and everything. So, really, really good field spell, even if it is a bit outdated nowadays. But it's still, I contend it's still really good. Next up, we got Triple Book of Life. I know some people have opted to completely drop this from zombies nowadays, but considering how much I've been focusing on the revival aspects with the deck, I really like this. Basically, you special summon 1 zombie from your graveyard and banish 1 monster from your opponent's graveyard. So if they ashed you earlier that turn, you can just banish the ash and prevent them from getting it back to their hand if they're playing Zalmangrate or something. So really good card overall. And it also gets rid of some other combo pieces and stuff. Double Terraforming, you want to play as much as you can of this. At least I think so. I mean, if you want to go to full Necro Banshee route, go ahead. Next up, 2 Called by the Grave because getting ashed is annoying. 2 Zombie Necronize. I'm kind of flip-flopping on this card. I really like it, but at the same time, it is a bit conditional, so I can see why people don't like it as much. Basically, it's a change of heart for zombies. Granted, you do have to control a level 5 or higher zombie to activate it, but however, just being able to take control of any monster your opponent controls and then use it for whatever you want is pretty cool. And it has a way to reset it onto the field by shuffling one of your banished zombies back into the deck, but it gets banished whenever it leaves the field after that. It is a bit annoying how you can't do both effects in the same turn, but however, being able to recur it and also just steal a monster for free is pretty handy. Speaking of stealing monsters, one super polymerization, because this card with Zombie World and Dragon Necro is really, really good, and I love it. One reasoning, just simply load up Graveyard, and if your opponent doesn't know what you're playing, you can really just abuse this. One Monster Reborn, one Foolish Burial, one for one, and then finally for the one singular trap I play, double Rivalry of Warlords, because having this out in tandem with Zombie World is insane, and just basically will oftentimes auto win you a game. It's really that simple. Moving on to the extra deck, got double Vampire Sucker. You can play 3, I personally prefer 2 just for extra deck space. Main thing is you get a free draw card every turn that you summon a zombie monster from the graveyard, or your opponent does. One Ring Kuriboh because, well, that's the best way of triggering Glow Up Bloom, honestly. One Nightmare Cerberus, one Nightmare Phoenix, one Summon Sorcerer. You know, everything's a zombie, so it kind of goes hand in hand. One Dragon Necro, really, really good card overall. Basically, anything it battles can't be destroyed in battle. And then at the end of the battle step, or damage calculation, I can't remember which, you drop that opponent's monster to 0, and then you get a token on your side of the field with the same attack stat as that monster. Really, really derpy card. The big thing is that it's super generic, just needs 2 zombies to go into. So if your opponent extra links you or something, or they got 2 annoying monsters out on the field, you can just super poly them away for this guy. Really, really handy. One, number 20, God, what was it? Number 25, no, 3, Lancelot, the Dark Knight of the Underworld. The big thing with him, as was also a couple of the other choices I have in my extra deck, is that while Rivalry's out, you don't have any way of going into your big boss monsters, so you want to try and play as many zombies as you can. And of course, this dude's a zombie, and he can attack directly. When he does, you can pop a monster, I believe it's any card actually. Your opponent controls, target one face-up monster your opponent controls, destroy it. And then if your opponent activates, if anybody activates a card or effect, detach Xyz material, negate and destroy that card. It's literally a freaking Light and Darkness Dragon, but in the extra deck, and it's a 2k attacker. It is nice that he can, well, attack directly and pop a card once per turn, so it's really, really handy for that. One number 38 for general spell and trap negation. Well, just not trap, but spell negation. One number 22 Zombie Stein. Again, this guy is mainly in here because while Rivalry's out, you're not going to be summoning anything other than zombies either. And a 4,500 body is pretty handy. Moving on to the synchros, we got one Red Eye Zombie Necro Dragon. Really powerful card. He's basically a Yugioh, kind of, just like the original Red Eye Zombie Dragon. Where whenever a zombie is destroyed by battle, whenever a zombie destroys a monster in battle, you can spell summon that monster from either player's graveyard onto your field. And then this thing gains 100 attack and defense, or at least I think is it defense as well? Yeah, 100 attack and defense for every zombie in the graveyard or on the field. Which again is really, really, really handy. So this thing is pretty stupid. I love it. For one of the newer cards, we got Cyber's Quantum Dragon. Now, I will say this, if you have Borrowed Savage Dragon or Borrowed Savage Dragon, I don't know what his name is in TCG, I was unable to get one. If you do have him, I would suggest trying to squeeze him into the extra deck somehow, because he is really good, but Cyber's Quantum Dragon is also another really good card to consider as well. He's a level 7 Cyber's Synchro monster, super generic, just needs a tuner plus a non-tuner monster, and basically he has some pretty neat effects, to say it the least. While you control a link monster, monsters your opponent controls cannot target monsters you control for attacks except this one. Also, your opponent cannot target monsters you control for card effects except this one. So he's big on protection. And then the second effect is once per turn at the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can return that monster to the hand. Also, this card can make a second attack in a row. So he's kind of like a better, stronger version of Grand Mole, being able to attack twice and also, of course, prevent all attacking or targeting for any of your other cards except for him. So that is really, really, really good, making it to where your opponent has to get rid of him first before they can try and go after your other monsters, unless they're using a Mass Destruction card. So, yeah. One Cypher and Lord Omega, still arguably the best not zombie synchro for the deck. Just constant recursion of your banished stuff, pretty darn handy. I'm saying that a lot. One Beals, of the Diabolical Dragons, really, really good card. It cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, and every time your opponent every time your opponent burns you with a card effect, he gains that attack power and burns your opponent back. Really, really cool. And then, of course, finally, one Void Ogre Dragon. This thing's basically my Boral Savage Dragon until I get one. If you do happen to have Boral Savage Dragon, replace Void Ogre with that. They do basically the same thing, but Boral Savage is a bit better and less conditional. So, yeah. And that's the deck profile, guys. What do you guys think? I love this deck so much. I've been having a lot of fun with it. It can do so much, and I love it how it's one of those few decks that I can actually just play like a rainbow of colors in the extract. Like, holy crap, I haven't been able to do all this in Archetype in forever. But yeah, it is really cool. I love the zombie build. I've been having a lot of fun with it. What do you guys think of zombies in general? What do you think they need for more support to be able to do stuff? I don't know. Thank you all for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. See you all later. Peace out and goodbye.